I am Arpit and welcome to Part 2 of 3 of the Yojana analysis for the September 2023 month. Now in the previous part, we covered two topics. Those two topics were direct tax reforms and the Consumer Protection Act. In this particular issue, we will be covering women empowerment, Nari Shakti, which is actually much talked about, not only now, but since last few years. Our Prime Minister has been very vocal on this, and very recently the Women Reservation Bill in the Parliament has been passed, which gives 33% reservation to the women in Parliament as well as state legislative assemblies. It is actually talking about political empowerment of women. But women empowerment in all aspects have to happen. They have to have access to good healthcare services, good family planning services. They have to have access to good, I would say, jobs, equal pay for equal work. That is economic empowerment of women. So, in all aspects, in education, in the social lives, they have to be empowered. And why shouldn't they be? They have been subjugated from centuries. Actually, it was the later Vedic period from when their subjugation started. And patriarchy started creeping in our society and dominating over us. Patriarchy actually subdued women, and the status of women reached its lowest ebb during the medieval period. After that, when the Britishers were here, the status of women gradually started to improve. There were some laws passed for them, like the Widow Remarriage Act, abolition of sati, some crusaders were there, or some social reformers were there which were working for their education. And then post-independence, there was a greater push given to their development. But despite of this push, the upward movement of, I would say, the status of women, they have not been at par with the men. The Global Gender Gap Index says that India is ranking around 127 countries out of 146 countries. That is 2023 index says it. We covered this when we were talking about this women reservation bill. The condition is not so good in India with respect to women empowerment. The Prime Minister in his last year's Independence Day speech, this year's Independence Day speech, has talked a lot about Nari Shakti. Almost 50% of the population they are here in India, and I would say around 47-48% of the population is women. And if almost half your population is deprived, not participating in economic activities, you cannot dream to become a developed country. They have to be empowered. They have to be equal with men, at times bigger, or I would say commanding. In such situations, they should be that they are above men also. That is women empowerment. The government has taken various steps, like various schemes have been passed, various laws have been made for empowering them. We'll be looking into all these in this particular section. And then finally, we have this Law Commission of India. It is kind of a recommendatory body which is formed by the government to examine the implementation and formulation of laws. What are the loopholes, and how laws can be improved in India, how lawmaking can be improved, how the existing laws can be improved. All these kind of research work or analysis is done by Law Commission of India, and then it tables its recommendation to the Law Ministry. Law Ministry then tables it in the Parliament, and multiple places their recommendations are referred to. Recommendations are not, I would say, binding in nature. But this commission plays a significant role in shaping the laws and policies of the government, in influencing the laws and policies of the government, and that is why it has become important. So we'll see the present Law Commission of India, the structure of Law Commission, what does the Law Commission do, where does it submit its report, what happens to the reports. So this will be covered over here in this particular topic. Now let us first talk about the women empowerment. The Supreme Court of India released the Handbook on Combating Gender Stereotypes. Stereotypes are basically those age-old practices which hamper or which hinder development of women. And this actually was aiming at, delivering gender justice. Now, what is gender justice? It seeks to promote equitable development opportunities for all, irrespective of biological sex. It is not about, gender justice is not about only promoting female. It is about all the gender. And all the genders, whether it be males, females, or even transgenders, they should be equal. These principles are enshrined in our constitution through the values of liberty, equality, and freedom. So, this is also there, but yes, we have not talked about it much, gender justice. But this handbook has increased our focus on this term gender justice, and gender justice will come with gender equality. Gender equality, we obviously know that males are superior as compared to females. There is this gender gap, which the global gender gap has also highlighted, and that is why to instill gender justice, we need to empower women and bring them at par with men in India's case. So, obviously, this is there. Now, steps to achieve gender equality. First is economic empowerment of women. We need to make women participate in more and more economic activities. We need to make them earners from housewives. Now, many of the women are engaged into skilled workforce presently. They have become doctors, lawyers, engineers, CAs. A lot of women are involved in unskilled activity. This work from home culture has also increased the base for participation of women in the economic workforce. The Prime Minister also promotes this work from home culture. So, this economic participation or economic empowerment of women, if it happens, will first of all increase the family income, because their income will be contributing in the family income. Second of all, it will also increase their status in their family. They will be taking part more and more in decision making. They will be, full of confidence. And if a woman is earning, she will definitely be investing on certain necessary, I would say, items like education for her children, proper health care of her children, maintaining proper sanitation in her house. This will definitely improve the standard of living, not only of that woman, but the entire family. So, economic empowerment has a lot of positive implications. Ending child marriage. The government per se has made that law which fixes the minimum age for marriage for girls, that is 18 years, for males it is 21 years. We are talking about increasing the minimum age for marriage for girls from 18 to 21. But still it is 18. But in many sections of the society it is found that girls below 18 years are getting married, or as soon as they turn 18 they get married. This actually is limiting their abilities to learn. First of all, means they'll not be able to get formal education if they get into marriage early. If they'll not be getting into the ambit of formal education, then they'll not be able to earn in their lives, and definitely they will not be empowered. So this is one major step to achieve gender equality, that is ending child marriage. Then political empowerment. We should make women part of the political process. They are voters, no doubt about this fact, but they should be elected representatives also. 33% reservation is given to women already at the local level, that is urban local bodies as well as the panchayats. But there also institutions like Sarpanch Pati has emerged, where the husbands of those females, they are actually having access to the actual power and doing all the works. The women are just the face. Actually, the men do not let them work. Everything is concentrated in their hands. So this actually should not happen to the 33% reservation there at the central level, that is MPs, and at the state level, that is MLAs. So institutions like MP Pati or MLA Pati should not emerge. That is actually, then we'll say that political empowerment has happened. Roughly, presently, if I say, only 15% of the seats in the parliament are held by females, which actually limit their political participation. If their political participation increases, then there will be more laws which will be gender centric laws, which we can call them. There will be more provisions by the government which will enable their upliftment, and gender parity in our country may be achieved sooner if political participation of women increase. Then gender responsive budgeting. When I talk about gender responsive budgeting, whatever budget we formulate, where in the budget we allocate resources for various, I would say, sectors. So we should keep in mind the gender also. Like for example, we are allocating resources for the social sector. So there should be some schemes specifically for women. So that will help in upliftment of women. That will do gender empowerment. So this should be there. Then safeguarding sexual and reproductive health rights of the women. That is called as reproductive and child health. This as a concept was adopted by India after 1996. There was this health summit internationally in Cairo. After that we adopted it, in which we want to promote safe and healthy pregnancy and the after, I would say, life of pregnancy when you become a lactating mother, that should also be safe, because that pregnancy is one vital part of the lives of women. So now the government, what it has done, it has started focusing on the healthcare of the women right from their adolescent age. When they turn 12 or 13 years, they start giving them iron folic tablets and all, so that their reproductive organs, their, I would say, reproductive health remains good. Because in rural areas, these women are more prone to early marriages, and when early marriages happen, early pregnancies also happen. Early pregnancies, if your reproductive organs are not ready or not developed, it can be fatal for that particular lady, or it can be fatal for that particular child which has been conceived, which will be leading to maternal mortality rates and infant mortality rates. That is something which is undesirable. Then land rights protection. The females should be having land rights. In their name, the property should be there. This will give them a sense of security, economic security and stability for the women will come. Now the government is trying to promote this also in the forms of various schemes like Pradhan Mantri Awas Yojana Urban, where if you go for buying a house and you buy that house in the name of a female, you will get interest subsidy. That interest subsidy will be directly transferred in the bank account of that female. So this is going to happen. Then combating violence. When I talk about combating violence, though violence at the domestic level is quite common. Females beating after alcoholism is also quite common. So we need to combat that also. For that we have this Domestic Violence Act in place. But making a law merely does not solve the problem. It will have to be solved by greater public sensitization and awareness. Now we'll discuss these one by one. Economic empowerment through comprehensive legal frameworks, awareness campaigns and support services for survivors. Initiatives such as helplines, safe houses and counseling programs should be done for economic empowerment of females, making them participate more and more in economic activity. Labor force participation rate should be actually more in favor of females, and females can do various works like stitching or garments industry. There's a lot of potential for females. Artisans industry has a lot of potential for females, the unskilled females I'm talking about. And it has been seen that wherever females are there, economic activity is good. We have a classic example in the form of Bangladesh, our neighboring country, which performs better than us on Global Gender Gap Index. Why? Because there is a lot of participation of females in the economic activities. Bangladesh also happens to be led by a female prime minister since the last 15 years, which actually has made the difference over there in Bangladesh. Then ending child marriage. Laws setting minimum age for marriage, girls' education promotion, raising awareness about the consequences of child marriage, economic empowerment for girls and their families, communities engagement and other targeted interventions have been done by the government. But yes, some bypassing of the laws is also happening, due to which child marriages are happening, which should not happen for truly empowering the women. Next is, I would say, economic empowerment. It is actually there now. Establishing equal pay for equal work, maternity leave should be there. This is actually economic empowerment. We can ignore the last point. Okay, there was something else. Then these all should be there. Establishing equal pay for equal work, maternity leave, childcare policies, access to finance and entrepreneurship training, and all should be there. Then sexual and reproductive health rights. Government should ensure sex education, family planning services, safe abortion services, legal and investment in health infrastructure, all should be there. Addressing the stigmas, informing about rights and choices to the females. Land rights, fundamental to economic empowerment of women, already discussed. Political empowerment, affirmative action, leadership training, addressing systemic barriers, all these should be addressed. The institutions of Sarpanch Pati should not be dominant. And with the passage of the recent Women Reservation Bill, the kind of institutions like MP Pati and MLA Pati should not emerge. Then gender budgeting. We need to make collective efforts in involving governments, civil society and individuals to create an equitable and women inclusive world. Equitable means giving or allocating more resources to the more deprived. So in this case, women are more deprived, so more resources should be allocated for their upliftment. Then only they will be equal with the males. That is gender budgeting. Now, schemes and campaigns by the government in this regard. First is Beti Bachao, Beti Padhao. This was a campaign which was launched by the government in 2014, actually to tackle the declining child sex ratio. Sex ratio is defined as number of females per 1,000 males. And the place chosen for the launch of this campaign was Panipat, Haryana. Why? Because Haryana's child sex ratio is the lowest. Beti Bachao, Beti Padhao also entailed with various sub-schemes like the Sukanya Samriddhi Yojana. Sukanya Samriddhi Yojana was a scheme under the ambit of Beti Bachao, Beti Padhao. What is happening in Sukanya Samriddhi Yojana? If a girl child is born, you open a bank account of that girl child. Maximum deposit in that account can be 1.5 lakh rupees in a year. You do that deposit for 14 years consecutively. After the girl child turns 14, you are not allowed to do any deposits in that. The government will be paying an increased rate of interest around 8-9% on those deposits, which will be more than any FD or any savings account. And once that girl turns 18 years, half of that accumulated amount can be taken out for her higher education, which will prevent early marriages of the girl child, and the remaining amount can be taken out for her marriage. Now, why there was this skewed child sex ratio? Because a lot of infanticides used to happen, like girl childs were born, they were killed, because girl childs were considered as burdens on the family, because when they get married, the parents will have to pay for dowry of that girl child. So this Kanya Samriddhi Yojana is tackling education needs, which is which will be helpful in delaying the marriages of the girl child. Second of all, it will be helpful in bearing the expenses for her marriage also. So which will not be an economic burden all of a sudden on the families. The families can contribute 1.5 lakh rupees on which the government will give enhanced rate of interest over her life period up till 14 years of age. Then we have this Pradhan Mantri Matru Vandan Yojana, financial assistance to pregnant and lactating women. So when you are pregnant, you get financial assistance, and when you are lactating mother, you get this financial assistance from the government. Why? Because during pregnancy, you need increased nutrition intake so that you feed not only yourself but the child inside you. And when you deliver, you need to breastfeed that child, because breastfeeding is very, very important as it develops the immunity of the child. There are many poor people in our country who cannot afford, powdered milk. So they only depend upon this breastfeeding. But in order to produce that much milk, you need to take proper and adequate nutrition. And if you don't have that money to take adequate nutrition, you will not be able to lactate properly. And this inadequacy in lactation may lead to, I would say, undernourishment of the child. Undernourishment can also lead to death of that child. So it will be contributing to infant mortality. So that time it is very, very important when you are lactating, and for that purpose the government is giving you financial assistance. According to some experts, financial assistance of around 5,000 rupees is given to a lactating mother when she delivers birth to a child under the Pradhan Mantri Matru Vandan Yojana. Now when I talk about mobile e-heart, digital market base for women, entrepreneurs, artisans to market and sell their products. So women entrepreneurship is being promoted through these e-hearts. Then Ujjwala Yojana, free LPG connections. We might have heard about this scheme a lot for women belonging to BPL households. Now this free LPG connection, LPG is a clean cooking fuel. Earlier, the women used to cook on chulas, traditional chulas. They used to collect wood, they used to burn that wood and cook food. And those cooking was done in indoors, which created a lot of indoor pollution. That indoor pollution created a lot of respiratory diseases among the females, which turned fatal at times for them as well. So, this access to clean cooking gas will definitely tackle this particular problem, the respiratory diseases among the women, and definitely increase their standard of living. Stand Up India is another scheme which encourages women entrepreneurship with bank loans from 1 lakh to 1 crore to set up greenfield enterprises. And particularly SC/ST women are focused over here. Greenfield enterprises are those enterprises which are set up from scratch. You should not have an existing business. For that, you will not get loan under this Stand Up India. You will get loan under Stand Up India if you are building a business from scratch. Then Pradhan Mantri Kaushal Vikas Yojana, skill development scheme for all including women. This is not specifically for women, but it is for all. But yes, women are also targeted in this. So these are the schemes and campaigns which the government has run for women empowerment. Now we come to laws in this regard. Now Criminal Law Amendment Act 2013, the Nirbhaya Act. Now we all know that gang rape of 2012 which happened and shook the entire nation, the Nirbhaya gang rape case. Now after that Nirbhaya gang rape case, this criminal law was amended and provisions were made more stringent for criminal activities like rapes, voyeurism, or I would say eve teasing also. A death penalty was introduced for rapes. Earlier it was not there. So this law was made more stringent after that. Apart from it, there was a Nirbhaya fund. It was established for women's safety and empowerment, used for one-stop centers, helplines, infrastructure, etc. That will, cater to the needs of the females. Like you can see a women helpline nowadays. If you are there in a distressing situation, if someone is following you, you can click on or you can dial on that helpline. You will get immediate help. All these kind of provisions or facilities have been established by the Nirbhaya Fund, which was formed under this particular act. Then Maternity Benefits Amendment Act 2017. Now, what is maternity benefit? If you are a woman, got married, you'll get pregnant, and you happen to be working also in any company. So when you are pregnant, you will need leave after you or during pregnancy or after you deliver the baby. You need to be there with your baby. You need to breastfeed your baby. You need to take care of your baby. No one else can do that, what you can do for your baby. And for that, you need leave from your workplace. Employers at times are apprehensive from hiring women because they know that these women, when they get married, they will be taking leaves or they will be taking off from the workplace, which cannot be so much favorable to us. So the organized sector in India particularly have to follow this Maternity Benefit Act, according to which maternity leave of around 6 months is given to the females. Earlier, this maternity leave was around 12 weeks only. Now it has been increased to 26 weeks by this amendment in 2017. This safeguards the woman from any, I would say, participating in any economic activity, and this is mandated by the law. So from 12 to 26 weeks, the maternity leave period was increased in this. Apart from it, there are many other facilities that work from home should be promoted. A crèche facility should be provided when the woman joins after her pregnancy, joins back the office. And this particular leave of 26 weeks is not unpaid leave, it is paid leave. You get salary every month for not going to the office, for taking care of your child. This is the major provision. The Protection of Children from Sexual Offences Amendment Act. This is called as the POCSO Act. Now, a child under POCSO is any child below 18 years of age. Not only female but male child also. And hence, in this particular act, there has to be strict actions against the sexual offenders who commit sexual crimes against the I would say children below 18 years of age. Even the people who know about such kind of offences and are not reporting it to the authorities, they are also punished. This law is that stringent. Every district court has to set up a separate section for this POCSO Act that can hear the cases and dispose the cases well within time. This gives adequate protection to the children also. Like if children don't want to come to the courts and in the participate in the hearing, those kind of provisions are also there with the child. So this safeguards every child from sexual offences. Child is any person below 18 years of age, male or female. Then the Muslim Women Protection of Rights on Marriage Act 2019. This was amended because triple talaq was abolished. Triple talaq was a practice which was there according to the Muslim customs, where if the male used to pronounce talaq 3 times, divorce used to happen. Women were so vulnerable over there. But this triple talaq was abolished by the central government. This act was amended for that, which entailed provisions for triple talaq. Then sexual harassment of women at workplace. Prevention, Prohibition and Redressal Act of 2013. Now actually, the Supreme Court before this passage of this act had the Vishakha guidelines into place, which protected women from any sexual harassment happening with them in their workplace. They can be harassed by anyone in their workplace for this pretext of continuation of the job or increase in payment. So they are at vulnerable situations over there. This law has provided protection to women. Actually, there are, I would say, internal complaints committees which have to be formed by every organization who is working in India. This internal complaints committee comprises of the employees, and one from outside the company also has to be there. A woman employee definitely has to be there. This internal complaints committee is responsible for investigating into any matter. For organized sector, this is there. What happens to women employed in unorganized sector? They also have this provision of approaching the local committees. Local committees are there headed by the district magistrate of every district. And then that local committees become responsible for investigating the cases. Very recently, when that member of parliament belonging to the ruling party, he was heading the Boxing Federation of India and involved or alleged that he was involved in sexual crimes or sexual offences against the women wrestlers. No, for that Wrestling Federation of India he was heading, if I've mentioned it wrong earlier. So that actually was also a classic example of sexual harassment at workplace. Then next topic is Law Commission of India. Law Commission of India actually is a non-statutory body. It is kind of a think tank for assessing the laws that the government is planning to pass or the government should pass, or whatever laws which have been passed by the government, what are the ways to improve the provisions of that laws. Law Commission's job is this. So let us see the Law Commission of India. It is a non-statutory body constituted by a notification of the Government of India, Ministry of Law and Justice and Department of Legal Affairs. The notification lists definite terms of reference containing matters of law on which research is to be carried out, and recommendations made in the form of reports have to be submitted. So this is actually the job of Law Commission of India. It also takes up subjects on references made by the Department of Legal Affairs, Supreme Court and High Courts of India. Now, if any of these entities recommend any matter to the Law Commission that do research on this and let us know, or what should be the improvements in this, let us know. Because see, the Department of Legal Affairs, which is part of Ministry of Law, is responsible for making the laws. These two are responsible for interpreting the laws. And when any of them is referring any matter to the Law Commission of India, then that would be a matter of grave concern with respect to the laws in India. And laws should be efficient, laws should be accessible, laws should be justiciable in nature. Otherwise, there is no point of laws being passed. So, actually, it is making the, I would say, legal regime in India more and more citizen friendly. The 22nd Law Commission was constituted by Government of India with a 3-year term in February 2020, which has been extended to 31st August 2024. So, the present Law Commission, which is the 22nd Law Commission which has been formed, is going to be in power or is going to be in formation till 31st of August 2024. Now, composition: a full-time chairperson is there of the Law Commission, 4 full-time members including member secretary is there. Secretary, Department of Legal Affairs, is an ex officio member. Secretary, Legislative Department, as an ex officio member. Not more than 5 part-time members should be there apart from these. These are there. Full-time, 4 full-time members. Secretary, these are ex officio members. And these maximum 5 part-time members can be there part of the Law Commission. Functioning based on the references from Government of India, Supreme Courts and High Courts, which we have already seen. Report by the Commission. The Commission evaluates the data and options or suggestions before incorporating them into the report. The report is then scrutinized by the full Commission meeting, that is the Law Commission meeting. Once on report finalization, a draft amendment bill may be prepared and appended to the report by the Commission if needed. So, a draft is prepared and that is also added to the report. This report is submitted to the Government of India for consideration. So, if I have to sum this up, Commission evaluates the data and options or suggestions given to it by the government or Supreme Court or the High Court. Then it is scrutinized by the full Commission, whether it should be there or in what form it should be there. Then the draft amendment or the bill, in what form changes should be there to the existing laws which have been referred to us by the Supreme Court, High Court or the Law Ministry. Then the Law Commission also frames that particular amendment provisions and then attaches that with the existing law and submits it to the government. Having said that, it simply means that government, we got this suggestion from you or the Supreme Court or the High Court, from wherever it might have come. We have scrutinized it, we have researched on it and we have come up with a solution. These should be the amendments in the existing laws because these are the loopholes we found. Now, this is there in our report. You see what it has to be done. You want to amend the laws? You can amend the laws. Whatever you want to do, you can do. It is, our job is done. And whatever recommendations we have done or made to you are not binding on you. You can or you cannot adopt them. It is up to you. The success of the Commission is dependent upon the depth and breadth of its consultation, that is how much data, views, suggestions it can gather and incorporate from a diverse range of stakeholders within its limited resources. So, that is actually the success of Law Commission, that how much it can accommodate in a simplified way in the existing laws, so that that new law or the new amendment which the Law Commission is recommending to the government should be beneficial to the maximum stakeholders. Reports are laid down before the Parliament from time to time by Ministry of Law and Justice, forwarded to various departments, ministries for implementation if needed, acted upon by departments, ministries if required, cited in courts, parliament committees, academic and public discourses. Now, I also at times use that according to the Law Commission report, this is there. According to the Law Commission report, this should be there. They have not been, or some of them have been accepted also. But yes, these kind of references are used at times by me also in my content. So, Law Commission of India, per se not a statutory body, but yes, a think tank, a recommendatory body to the Ministry of Law, that is Government of India, On what basis does it give the recommendations? On the basis of inputs received from either the government itself or from Supreme Court or from High Court. So this is the basic job of the Law Commission of India. And with this, we have ended the second part. I will be coming with the third part shortly. Till then, you guys keep on reading, writing, and revising most importantly. Jai Hind. See you in the next part. Namaste.